So how do you win games with your mentality? It depends on your opponents, but if you apply the following rules you will be able to win a significant portion of your games. So without further ado, let's move on to chapter 1. Target selection means that you have to assess which of the opposing players has the weakest mentality or will be the easiest to throw off balance. It is very difficult to assess, but there are certain patterns. One of them is noticing players on characters whose players usually have a weak psyche. It is difficult to notice, but it comes with time spent in the game. The second thing to pay attention to is whether someone is playing something non-standard. They are playing a different role. Another build or runes or anything the opposing team might tease that player about. Even if someone makes a mistake, he will subconsciously blame our target, which will weaken his mentality. Of course, in some games it will be more difficult to assess, but in such a situation you can help yourself with the native browse application, where in the AFK stats tab you can see statistics on the leaving games by players of all characters. On this page you will also be able to see the effectiveness of the method discussed in this video in individual servers and ranks. In this game, the choice was quite simple, because the opposing team had Twitch and in a non-standard position. So if you have already selected your target in the enemy team, you can proceed to the next chapter. This chapter will largely contribute to achieving the goal. The idea is to give our target a sense of a small victory. For example, when he is in our lane, let him destroy our bone plating in runes. Or miss the first spell. One of the more risky options is to let him gank the lane, but you have to do it very carefully. Allowing our target to feel confident will mean that after a failed action, instead of moving from a normal game to a difficult situation, he will move to it from a game that he thought started well. This way he will lose more in his subconscious and he will be more upset. This way we can move on to chapter 3. Making the game annoying for the target will make him nervous. He will have less fun playing the game. This chapter is simpler than the previous ones, but it is very difficult to do because you have to be very careful to make life difficult for the target, because sometimes these greedy plays turns into free kills for our target. This time when the Twitch ganked mid, he got caught in his jungle a few dozen seconds later. When the wave is slow pushing to you, you can go into fast action. Or when you just crash the wave you can fight even longer, but sometimes if the wave is slow pushing into the enemy and it is uneven, it's more worth pushing the wave and then helping the jungler if he doesn't need immediate help. Even if the target doesn't die, it's okay because his mind is actually being controlled. In chapter 4 you have to choose another target. If your main target plays in jungle, you should choose second target on lane. Best to have him on your own lane. But sometimes when your lane opponent is stronger, you have to choose top laner or one of bot laners. If your main target plays on lane, you should choose jungler for your second target. The most important thing is that you can choose only one target, because if you choose two targets, whole enemy team will flame each other's, and they will feel motivated to show who is better. But if you choose only one additional target, you will probably blame our main target after his every death. Then when their team will see that your second target blames your main target and they will see your main target stats, they will probably blame main target also. In this game it was difficult to do, because Katarina was standing almost all the time under the tower, and the Twitch was defended by Rakan. But if the opposing Katarina plays very passively, it does not have much impact on the game, especially since in the late game, Talon one-shots her. So let's move on to the next, most important chapter. This chapter is the most important because it decides whether our plan will work. It consists in calling the team, or if you can do it alone, you try to kill your target, not allowing him to gain experience and gold until he leaves the game. Sometimes at higher elo you can see Avengers Assemble plays, in which the main target is suddenly attacked by sometimes even 5 opposing players. In this game, Talon was strong enough to kill Twitch after being spotted by the control ward. Without the help of the team, in this game specifically, one final destruction of the Twitch was enough. But sometimes you have to repeat this step several times to achieve the goal. Chapter 6 is about sacrifice, of course. After our target has left the game is not over yet. At this stage, you have to look for the right moment to defeat desperate opponents once and for all. Here we use sacrifice one team member so that he receives all the skills from the opponents, or baiting opponents by this teammate. Now that the sacrifice is ready, it's time to move on to the final chapter. The last chapter is just a formality regarding the